There's a workshop on Crescent Lane where the windows glow amber long after the other shops have closed. If you walk past on a quiet evening, you might catch the scent of old paper and beeswax, or hear the soft rhythm of pages being pressed and folded. The sign above the door reads simply, Maren Bookbinder. Inside, Maren sits at her workbench beneath a brass lamp that once belonged to her grandmother. The light it casts is warm and steady, the kind that makes everything feel a little softer, a little safer. Tonight, she's restoring a journal. Pale blue linen cover, water-stained pages, a clasp that no longer closes properly. Someone brought it in 3 days ago. An elderly man with kind eyes and hands that trembled slightly as he set it on her counter. "My wife's," he'd said quietly. "She kept it for 40 years. I wondered if you could make it whole again." Maren had held the journal carefully, feeling its weight, its history. "I'll take good care of it," she'd promised. Now, as she carefully separates the damaged pages, she notices something tucked between them. A pressed flower, pale lavender, fragile as a whisper. She sets it aside with reverence. Some things aren't meant to be restored, only preserved. Maren came to bookbinding the way some people come to faith, slowly, then all at once. She'd been an accountant before, spending her days with spreadsheets and fluorescent lights, her evenings too tired to do anything but sleep. Functional. Forgettable. Fine. Then her grandmother died and left her 3 things. The brass lamp, a set of bookbinding tools wrapped in oilcloth, and a note that read, "Make beautiful things. Life is too short for anything else." It had taken Maren 6 months to open the tool roll, another 3 to attend her first workshop. But the moment she'd pressed her first signature, folded her first gathering, stitched her first binding, something had shifted. Her hands remembered a satisfaction her mind had forgotten was possible. She'd quit her job a year later, opened the shop 18 months after that. Now, 5 years in, she can't imagine doing anything else. The work suits her, the precision required, the patience, the way each book tells her what it needs if she listens carefully enough. The journal spine is the biggest challenge. The original backing has deteriorated, and several sections have come loose. Maren works methodically, removing the damaged materials, preparing new backing paper, measuring twice before every cut. Her radio plays softly in the corner, a classical station that signs off at midnight. The music wraps around her like a familiar blanket. Piano and strings, nothing that demands attention, everything that invites calm. Outside, the street is quiet. Crescent Lane sits just far enough from the main road that it feels like a secret, a pocket of stillness in the city's constant motion. Maren likes working late here, likes the solitude without loneliness, the sense of being held by the sleeping world rather than isolated from it. She applies new backing to the journal spine, pressing it smooth, checking the alignment. The work requires patience. Rushing ruins everything. She's learned to move at the pace things need, not the pace she wants. As she works, she thinks about the man who brought the journal, about the tenderness in his hands as he'd held it, about what it must feel like to have 40 years of someone's thoughts preserved in cloth and paper. Maren keeps her own journal now. Nothing profound, just observations. The way morning light angles through her workshop window. The smell of leather and glue. A customer's smile when she returns their restored book. Small things that add up to something larger. A life lived with attention. She wonders if anyone will care about her journals someday. If someone will bring them to a workshop like this one, asking for them to be made whole. The thought is comforting somehow, the possibility of maturing beyond your own moment. The clock on the wall shows 11:30. Maren stands, stretches, refills her tea. The journal is taking shape again, returning to itself. Tomorrow she'll work on the clasp, source a matching closure mechanism. Then the final pressing, the settling, the careful patience of letting things cure properly. She returns to her bench and notices the pressed lavender flower where she'd set it. In the lamplight, it looks almost alive, not fresh, but preserved at its most beautiful moment, kept safe from time's erosion. Gently, she places it between two sheets of archival paper. When she returns the journal, she'll make sure this flower is secured properly, protected, positioned exactly where it was found. The radio station signs off with its nightly ritual. A solo piano piece, simple and searching. Maren continues working as it plays, her hands moving in rhythm with the music. Press. Smooth. Check. Adjust. She thinks about her grandmother, who she knew mostly through stories and holiday visits. A woman who painted watercolors and kept bees and laughed easily. Who'd worked as a secretary for 40 years but filled her evenings with beautiful things. Embroidery, gardening, the kind of cooking that felt like art. The lamp had sat on her grandmother's desk, illuminating tax forms and correspondence by day, personal letters and paintings by night. Now it illuminates Maren's own work, this daily practice of making broken things whole, of honoring what people love enough to want preserved. By midnight, the journal's spine is restored, sturdy and true. Maren sets it in the pressing frame, tightening the screws gradually, evenly. It will stay there until morning, the pressure coaxing everything into alignment. She cleans her tools, each one returned to its proper place. Wipes down the workbench, caps the glue pots. These small rituals of closure are part of the work too, the tending that allows the workshop to be ready for tomorrow. Before she turns off the lamp, she pauses. In its warm light, the workshop feels like a sanctuary. The shelves of leather and linen, the drawers of thread and ribbon, the books waiting for restoration, each one holding someone's care, someone's history. Walking home, Maren passes the other shops on Crescent Lane. The candle maker, the vintage clothing store, the small cafe with the perfect almond croissants. All dark now, all resting. But in the morning they'll wake again, each one tended by someone who chose craft over convenience. At home, Maren makes chamomile tea and sits by her window. She opens her own journal and writes about the pressed lavender flower, about restored spines and patient pressure, about lamps that outlast the hands that first lit them. Tomorrow she'll finish the blue journal. She'll watch the man's face when she returns it to him, whole again, held together by technique and patience and quiet faith. But tonight, she simply sits in the stillness, grateful for work that feels like purpose, for the small, persistent light we each keep burning. Outside, Crescent Lane sleeps. Inside, Maren carries the day's quiet satisfaction into rest. The brass lamp will be there in the morning, ready to light another day's work. And that is enough.